Atomic gigantification was a sweeping Japan nation when along came a dude with an ultra attitude, a common rider who's the greatest kicker of Japan. And of all, man, life's too short now, baby, to not talk big now, baby.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to Kaiju Conversation. I'm your host, Elijah, and joining me, as always, my lovely, buzzed co-host and editor.
Hello, I am Rex.
And we are here. We have made it.
No way, we're here? That's insane, bro.
Rex, get a grip. We're going in. There's no turning back now.
There was a way back?
I mean, we could have done Kaiju Conversation episode 99 minus 1.
I mean, hey, we technically do have one.
Do we?
Yeah.
Oh, we do, technically.
On a technicality.
That will come out eventually.
Yeah.
This is our second go at this, but it will be for the best.
We decided to have a change in direction.
Yes, there was a change in the direction of the show where we got bought out.
We finally got rid of the studio interference. We kicked out David Zaslav. How do you say it?
David sells a lot of Warner Brothers.
David tax write-off?
David, the real villain.
Yeah, so we finally kicked that guy out of the Kaiju Conversation Incorporated.
Yep, that exists.
So originally this was going to be a GXK-centric episode. You know, our favorite movie of all time. But now, it is not. It has evolved into something better. Something more us, you could say.
Yeah, but before we get into that, Rex, even though we are celebrating this momentous occasion of 100 episodes of Kaiju Conversation, how have you been?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm celebrating. In fact, just opened another beer.
There's a level, we here at Kaiju Conversation do not condone excessive alcohol consumption. We established it.
Hey, I'm drinking responsibly.
Are you though?
Bro, I only had one beer before this.
Oh. Well, I don't drink responsibly.
And
I'm on to my
vodka.
second. What?
Maybe a shot of vodka too.
Ah.
It's fine. It's fine. That's not that bad. I've gone crazier. I've gone far crazier before.
I'm on my second energy drink.
In fact, the first time I got drunk, the first time I really drank properly, I blacked out.
I remember that. You called me.
Did I?
You were on a couch in the basement of a friend's house.
I've never been in a basement. What are you talking about?
It was somewhere. Downstairs.
No.
You were on a couch. You were calling me, telling me that the world was rotating.
Oh! Wait.
It was a party.
That! Oh my god, I forgot about that. Oh my god, that was
you turned your camera on.
That was months before the time I was referring to. Oh my god, I forgot about that day. Thank you.
That's how bad it was.
No, it was great. No, that time I didn't black out.
You passed out.
No, I did not actually.
Pretty sure you did.
No, I did not.
I remember. Sure?
Yes, I remember.
Are you sure you do?
Yes, I do remember.
I don't think you do.
No, I actually do. I remember. Don't. No, I remember going home at 2 a.m. and having really wanted to go home earlier.
And you had headaches? But no, you passed out. You fell into the couch.
Brother, I was mildly drunk.
You fell in. You were drunk enough to fall into the couch.
Brother, you've never been drunk, so shut up.
I will never be drunk.
We'll see about that when you come to Australia.
I was about to say that's the audio quiz segment that somebody will like cut, and then in like a couple years from now,
you're a raging alcoholic with depression.
and they're gonna get a video of it, and then this clip is gonna play before, and then it's gonna cut to that.
Hey, you never know what the future holds.
You know, it's funny you say that. Actually, no, I can't transition yet. Hold on to that thought.
You're really expecting me to hold on to thoughts.
You are going to hold on to many thoughts.
That's very brave of you to...
Brave?
Hey, I'll take the flattery.
The brave? That's very brave of you to...
That's
bold.
Yeah, sure.
Are
whatever.
you sure
Same
that you're
difference.
not more under the influence than you think you are?
I wish. I really wish.
We'll see.
I regret not buying a soju. That would have been a way better idea because currently I'm just having Asahis.
It's a good thing that this is all being recorded because whenever we get to the end of this,
If I have a hangover tomorrow, then it's your fault, though.
Probably.
Okay, surely I won't.
We'll see.
Nah, surely. This ain't as bad as last time. I remember last time I ended up having such a bad hangover that I ended up watching -1 the next day to cure my hangover, and that was when I learned that apparently being hungover, you are more emotional because your body is like, or your mind is like really stressed or something. So I was basically bawling my eyes out for the entirety of -1.
That was me. That was me every time I watched it.
No, but like literally there were tears coming out of my eyes like every single moment of the movie.
It is that beautiful.
Like, I was in tears just, like, watching the scenes and then remembering what would happen, like, in the next scene. I'm like, oh my god. I went through so many tears through that movie. But anyways, that's neither here nor there.
This is true.
How about yourself? How have you been?
Very busy. very busy. So the last time that people will hear, like, since our last... So Gauss was our last recording, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that would have been... I got to get my dates straight. I've been backlogged with work. So that was the week after G-Fest, right? Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
That was
yes,
the week of G-Fest.
No, it was the week after.
Technically. Okay, so since then, let's see what I've done. It's been a lot of working. Very busy with that. I wrapped on my next SRS Cinema project, War of the Ninja Monsters, Jiron vs. Gora. Me and Daniel DeManna did a audio commentary track for the film. So that was really fun. That was a whole week's worth of working. I've been editing stuff for Kaiju United in terms of like video work from G-Fest. I'm trying to think what else I mean that's pretty much it, you know. I did Ninja Monsters one week. Another week was a lot of working, and then this week has been mostly just working with trying to juggle just getting other odds and ends done. So I've been busy, but it's better. It's better.
Well, that's good at least. So have you watched any Tokusatsu finally, or have you just been too busy once again?
Well, if we're talking Tokusatsu, the closest thing to Tokusatsu is you and I did watch Godzilla Kong: The New Empire a week ago.
That's so true.
So I have seen that recently. Outside of that, I haven't... Oh, yes. Yes, so much fun. outside of that, I mean, I watched War of the Ninja Monsters, obviously.
Nice.
And so that's actual tokusatsu, so I've got that. Outside of that, I haven't watched any tokusatsu. I want to say the last time for Gamera vs. Gyaos, I had mentioned that I watched Afterlife. Is that right?
Nice, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I had watched that, and then during our Daimajin recording, I said that I was going to watch Zatoichi, right?
Yes.
Well, unlike Ultraman Tiga, I kept my word. So
Damn.
I have been watching a Zatoichi movie once every day for the past 7 days.
That's nice. I need to get on that series. I've only seen the Beat Takeshi film.
I'm really enjoying it. Shintaro Katsu has he's so much better in this than he is in Whale God. Like, I can't remember his character at all in Whale God, but
I mean, his character in Whale God is basically the opposite of Zatoichi.
pretty much, yeah. But here in Zatoichi, he's just I just love his charisma. He's got some good riz.
Yeah.
How about you? Have you watched
drunk one?
We'll see. Have you watched any tokusatsu, Rex?
Not really. I've watched the closest thing to tokusatsu I've watched is like Liver Leaf, which I did quite enjoy actually.
Good, because you technically did work on that.
That's so true. The bonus features, not the movie.
Correct.
That'd be funny. But yeah, no bias, but I liked it.
Yeah, that's a good one. When I watched it, I was actually really surprised with how good it turned out to be.
Yeah. Outside of that, I don't know if I don't remember anything else that I've watched. I'm pretty sure I already mentioned I watched some episodes of Daimajin Canon. If I didn't mention it already, then there you go.
That you haven't mentioned that yet.
It's not for me. It has a decent main character. Other characters suck. Weird perverted humor ain't really for me.
And you've also watched the rest of the Daimajin films, right? Did we establish that? I don't think we did in Gauss.
True. It was in in 99-1, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I finished Wrath of Daimajin before starting Canon.
So what'd you think of those?
It was I don't know if I really like any of the sequels more than the first film, but I don't know. They're all about kind of like the same quality, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like all of them are generally just good movies.
Yeah, I would agree. It's kind of weird watching them now with the Zatoichi understanding.
I mean, pretty much all of them were from Zatoichi directors, right?
All of them were, yes.
Future Zatoichi directors, yeah.
Yeah.
But alas,
do you remember what I told you?
What?
Do you remember what I told you to remember?
I remember you telling me to remember something.
Uh-huh.
But I don't remember what I was supposed to remember.
So full disclosure, I kind of forgot, but I'm pretty sure it was you saying that it's all in the past, or that we hold on to the past, or something along those lines. It was in context. It was in context.
What was I on about?
I don't remember. But that, speaking of in the past, Rex, 4 years ago, in the very same desk that I am talking to you now in, on the very same counter, in the very same room, I filmed the opening scene of a movie that I didn't know was going to be an opening scene, but I did it anyway. I wore a Predator and Alien t-shirt with jeans, with glasses. a bowl of potato chips, and a Sprite. But I had already quit soda, so I never drank from that Sprite. Do you know what I'm referring to?
Are you referring to a scene that you filmed for the hit film released by SRS Cinema in 2021? ZillaFoot?
Directed by Anthony Polonia?
Yeah, that guy?
You're absolutely right.
No way.
Now, as a preface for why you should stick around to the very end, at the very end of this, we have an exclusive interview with yet another ZillaFoot cast member. The first time that he has ever talked about his work on the film. And that is none other than the Ultra Guards Ultraman toy bearer, Matthew Anderson. So stay tuned to the very end of this episode for an exclusive interview that you should 100% take serious and not consider that perhaps some of it is a joke.
Bro, it's going to be so fire. Unironically, it's going to be so fire. I don't know what he's on about with this jokey stuff, but no, it's going to be a fire interview. You should all listen to it.
So the way we're going to do this is typical as most of our episodes are, going through the plot and whatnot, but as a very special surprise, Rex, you watched it with me for the first time.
Unfortunately, yes.
And we recorded that entire first reaction.
Yeah, because this episode was originally very different.
So throughout the discussion here, we're going to cut to yours and a couple of my reactions to the film. And let me tell you, it's peak cinema.
Yeah, that is a word you could use, I guess.
That is a word that is a part of the English language alphabet. It's real. And I think if you're ready, we can dive right into episode 100. Everything wrong with ZillaFoot.
Unfortunately, I think I am ready.
So where do we start, Rex?
Well, let's start with this opening narration.
Stock footage galore.
Stock footage with the most generic narration I've ever heard, establishing vague nuclear themes because, you know, it's a kaiju movie. You gotta have that because Godzilla did it.
And okay, real quick, before we talk about that audio, that narration, do you think that the clips here were taken off of YouTube? Like, they look crazy compressed.
Obviously. I mean, look at the clips from Gappa. It actually is just straight up, like, you went on, like, one of those sites where it's like, download YouTube video, and you just popped in the link to clips from Gappa, and then made it funny. Black and white for some reason.
We'll talk about that.
Maybe to avoid getting sued, I don't know.
Yeah, probably, because it is unlicensed. Now, talking about that narration, do you know what the first line of this movie is?
What? In the beginning, there was man, and man created war or something?
No. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
Oh.
Then man. And man created war. I hate the fact that I have the first line of ZillaFoot memorized.
Yeah. Do you want to seek mental help?
I want to seek a therapist.
Clearly you're going to need it. I'm already considering it just from the fact I've had to watch this twice.
Oh, God. Speaking of all of this and this narration, throughout this, I'm not going to mention it after this, really. A couple times I will, but you probably will talk about it more because you are the editor of Kaiju Conversation. The sound mixing in this movie is hot dog water.
I mean, just the editing in general is just a pretty lazy mess. Like, there's just, obviously there's a horrible sound, there's awful employment of, like, J-cuts throughout.
Now, what is a J-cut?
A J-cut is like, so when you cut to between two different scenes, a J-cut is like you have the audio from the second scene start before the first one ends. So like you'll be in like a forest and you'll cut to like a car driving. Well, while you're in the forest, you might hear the car like revving up, and then when it starts driving, then you cut to the car, something like that. And then there's an opposite form of that called an L cut, where the sound lasts to the start of a little bit through the beginning of the second cut. But yeah, because there's a couple scenes in this movie that use it, and it doesn't work.
Sometimes it
just feels haphazard. Yeah.
It's really awkward. There's a lot of moments in this movie where it's awkward.
Right. And then just for other editing issues, there's just general laziness in a lot of like the compositing and stuff. Like, I'm not expecting like top of the line compositing here, but please, for the love of God, if you're gonna like, if you can't put two actors in a car together, but you're gonna have you want to have a shot of them together and you're just gonna composite them in, that's fine. But at least don't have it so at the edge of the screen you can clearly see the composite just cut off.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it enough when it happens in Minoru Kawasaki movies.
I'm going to really focus in on the sound editing because, you know, as somebody who has done short films before, and you know this because I've literally like I've complained to you and asked for your help.
Yeah.
Like sound mixing and sound editing
is important. Sound is
like
more important than visuals in a lot of regards.
I would say
bad sound. It's like bad video can be acceptable. Bad sound, unacceptable. Mm-hmm. Unacceptable.
And I would argue I spend almost as much time as I do filming on sound designing and sound mixing.
Yeah, well, like it's even like for like I did like a little short like Godzilla animation for fun, and when I was editing that, like in editing, probably the main big thing I was trying to just kind of get the feel really right for was the sound. I don't know if I necessarily 100% succeeded in everything. I think there's a couple sounds where I'm like, I probably could have spent a bit more time on maybe, but generally I think I was pretty overall fairly happy with the sound mix that I did. I think it sounded generally all right, and at the very least, all the sounds that needed to be there were there, you know, and I think, yeah, it generally worked well enough.
Right, and, you know, one of the things about sound editing is when you're cutting audio clips together, you're placing them in the timeline, right? And then sound designing is figuring out and creating the feel you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're outside, if you want it to sound, you know, very, very in nature, very natural. You know, you're gonna design. You're gonna have like birds chirping, maybe the wind blowing, maybe the sound of leaves rustling. If you have a character walking, you're gonna have them walking on the ground. Maybe there's some mud, so it's like the squishing noise of mud. Maybe them breathing a little bit. And then you have sound mixing, which is taking all the audio that you've edited in and designed to like put in and mixing it basically into one sound that is good. You know, maybe you have all those sounds I listed off plus maybe another character, and so then you have all the sounds of like their footsteps and breathing, but then they're also speaking, and then you have a ambient noise track behind that. You know, you want your audio to be your voice audio, you know, the dialogue to be audible, but you also want the ambient music to be lingering to add that emotion right? That's usually what music is an emotional sound effect. And then you have the Foley and the sound design, the sound design including Foley and whatnot, which is building the world, right? You have your story, your world, and your feeling. That's basically the three elements of the sound that you're going to make. And throughout this entire film, especially in this opening sequence, there's the sound of like a camera, like an old style camera shutter. That's playing while music is playing while a person is talking. Okay, I get the idea. It's like an old slideshow. This is supposed to be like a typical 50s narration.
I think part of my issue is that a lot of the sound effects in this film just sound like the first thing they found on YouTube and just decided to nab that.
And that's what I think they did. And then I think when they put it into, obviously, Premiere Pro, this film reeks of Premiere Adobe stuff. And I say that and I use it, but it's very obvious that this was done in Premiere Pro because it sounds like they just threw the voiceover, the music, and the sound effect into a timeline and called it good. Like it doesn't sound like anything was adjusted or any mixing was actually done.
The closest thing to that is they do a lot of, most of the dialogue in this movie is ADR for scenes that were not filmed with guest actors, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it also just like there's various moments where it's like they seemingly forgot to ADR certain lines, so they just use the base camera audio, which is it. Look, base camera audio is never gonna sound good, but yikes.
I'll say this: base camera audio will sound good if you are in a climate-controlled room right next to the camera.
When you're out at the woods
while it's windy. Yeah, that's gonna fall flat.
Yeah. And it happens several times to the point where it's like, at this point, just get the actor back in the studio for one extra day. I mean,
they think they had a studio.
No, but wherever they're recording,
some dude's office. Oh, that's funny. Do you want to, or do we want to move on now from the first 30 seconds? I want to move on as
quickly as possible, man.
Another issue in this opening segment. So this opening segment is supposed to be establishing the world. It's your exposition dump.
Right.
And so they have various clips from other kaiju movies appear that SRS has in this opening sequence. Every time a monster shows up, it pops up with a little like bottom left-hand corner like label. And it's literally it's like, what's Arial? I think Arial's your typical.
Yeah, it's like italicized Arial.
Yeah, like basic white bulky letters that just pop up and go away.
Yeah,
and it's so bad. Like there's a ton of text in this film, and the way that they do stuff just looks awful. I'll bring up more later. But speaking of all this, Raiga shows up. And it's footage from Raiga, God of the Monsters, or Deep Sea Monster Raiga, whichever one you want to call it. You already mentioned, Rex, that Gappa shows up from Gappa the Triphibian Monster.
Which was a pleasant surprise,
And then this one's like an almost SRS-produced kaiju film, but it's not, was Konga from Konga TNT, which does have... what's funny is Konga was played by John Milgore, who's also in this movie. So he technically gets 2 roles in this movie, even though one is through stock footage.
Good on him. I'm happy the father from Ouija Shark is really going places.
And then Rigo from Deep Sea Monster Rigo, or Rigo, King of the Sea Monsters, shows up as well. And so does Oga from Deep Sea Monster Raiga versus Lava Beast Oga.
And also, aliens show up.
Which we get some stock footage, again, not licensed. We do get a clip from Attack from Space, which is a Starman movie from the 1950s. Starman's a very short-lived superhero movie series from Japan. And then there's I think
alien
that's
from Attack of the Giant Teacher.
Yes. And now, granted, the Shinpei Hayashida stuff, the Yoshikazu Ishii stuff, and the Brett Kelly stuff, Ron reached out and asked if they wanted to contribute, and they said, sure, you can use this footage. And so all of that's officially licensed, and not licensed, but approved.
Right.
The Gappa stuff, however, I guarantee you it was because of the...
Monster from a Prehistoric Planet?
Yes, I guarantee you it's that thought process of, oh, Monster from Prehistoric Planet's copyright free, which is not the case. It's just like the typical Showa Gamera film. AI TV did have it. They made the dub. They did the English credits. They cut it. They edited it, released it. It still falls under the copyright that Nikatsu has for it, but somehow those films have seemingly, quote-unquote, fallen into public domain.
In other words, the owner doesn't really care.
Yeah, they're not Toho. They're not going to go after them.
But following this, a meteorite crashes on Earth, witnessed by two Skywatchers of the Alien Skywatcher Society.
Yeah, one of them's John Milgore.
And there's another guy.
Now, this is where I need to, again, I'm bringing this up as if you've listened to the show, you already know it. I'm in this movie. And I show up in the opening. I'm the second character you see on screen. Third you hear. And I'm in my podcast office. Now, yep. I go through all of my podcasting, or not my podcasting, my filming stuff in the Monster Island Film Vault episode. Very good episode. Like I've said, I hope to one day maybe get that onto the podcast feed here. But I think it's best if we played the reaction of us watching this scene when you saw it for the first time. Hey, it's John. I love John.
I don't know who John is.
John's the guy I worked with.
Nice. Wait, the guy who did the Ouija
Shark? Yeah, he's the director of Ouija Shark.
I love Ouija Shark. Like, unironically. Wait, is that you? Oh my god. Wait, bro, what's with the hunchback? You're like the hunchback in Notre Dame.
Damn.
What are you staring at on your computer screen?
The script is on the computer screen. But I also have a bunch of, like, random stuff pulled up, too.
Bro, is that Minecraft?
No, it's not Minecraft.
Bro, it looks like Minecraft in the bottom left corner of your screen. Looks like you're staring at some dirt blocks in Minecraft.
No, it's like some like radar footage or something.
Oh, it looks like Minecraft. Bro, you're such an actor.
So Rex, what you just witnessed was the first on-screen appearance of one Elijah Thomas from 4 years ago.
You look like a child.
I looked fat.
You look like a 5-year-old.
I looked fat. That's the worst thing about this movie is I'm fat.
Bro, you were the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Congratulations for being cast in such an iconic movie role. Bro, did you see your own Hunchback? Do you still assume that posture?
No, not so much anymore.
Okay, good. Because that's bad for your back, man. You're going to feel that.
I already feel that.
Oh.
I already have back problems.
Don't worry. I was gonna say in a year.
So what do you think? What do you think?
You acted.
Acted?
The key part of that is acted is written in quotation marks.
Are you saying that I just basically played myself?
Sure.
Nibiru's a planet, you moron.
What's Nibiru?
I don't know. So actually, fun fact, we weren't told what we were doing. We were just told to come up with this script and this scene and like nothing. Yeah, so John came up with this, gave me the script, said, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Let's do it." And so then we recorded it. And that was it. Now, my last line in this scene is me taking a bite of the chips. And this was all improv. I ate the chips, and then I said, I can get better chips somewhere else. And then I storm off. At one point, John and I were supposed to come back in a brief cameo sequence at the very end. We were going to do a post-credits scene.
Bro, post-credit scene with Skywatcher #1. Oh my god. I'd be so hyped.
And little did I know that this was the director of Ouija Shark.
Bro, okay, unironically, like, even before you had any, years before you had any connection with him, like, I saw Ouija Shark. Bro, that movie was awesome. I had a blast. I had a joy watching that.
I think we shot this right after he finished Ouija Shark, or like right before it was finished.
Well, whatever. Before I cared about this film, before I had any reason.
Before you were born into existence.
No, not that far.
Your story begins in 2021.
God, I hope not.
Now, as soon as this scene ends, we cut to the cave, and then it cuts to black, which I almost guarantee you that.
Yeah, no, that's just the movie, lazy editing, and yeah,
there's no audio either. I think it's literally just
no, it's just straight up a mistake. It's like this movie went through maybe like 2-3 edits, and that's about it.
I don't even think they did 2 or 3. I think this is my honest opinion.
Nice.
I think what happened was, like, John edited our stuff. Our stuff is completely untouched. I gave him like 3 versions of the scene that you saw, and he cut that up and used some of it. But then the scene that John had, he just sent to Ron, and that's what was used. So I almost guarantee you that most of this stuff was shot, edited, and sent to Ron, and then he just plugged it in where it needed to go. And then moments like this where there's issues in the editing just occurred.
Right. I mean, but wasn't this technically like at one stage like a 40-minute short film or something?
Yeah. So in 2019, there was a version of ZillaFoot that was available for free. I think it's still available for free on Vimeo, which was like 45 minutes. From my understanding, I haven't watched it, but it was the scientists, Flash in Missouri, and the military stuff.
Makes sense.
Plus the monster action.
Makes sense.
And that was it. And then the additional, it's an hour and 20 minutes. So what is that? 35 minutes? So 35 minutes were added, which includes Matthew's scenes, Danny's scene, the Crimson Weirdo, John and I's scene. I'm trying to think what else. There was Mongo and
El
Sapo, and the stock footage underwater scene. So all of that made 35 minutes, which is kind of a warning sign.
Right. You know, maybe I would have liked this a little more if it was just if I watched the short film version. Maybe. You know, maybe one day I should watch that. It would have been more merciful.
I'm actually kind of surprised that version did not end up on the Blu-ray. It's just the extended edition, and it's listed as a bonus feature. So I guess we can transition back into the movie as we're talking about like the original version. This is where we cut straight to the original version, which includes our next location, which is military base Bravo Alpha, which obvious reference to Alpha Bravo, the March 1st, 1954 bomb testing. That was what it went under, is Alpha Bravo. So that is a reference in the film. If you want to count it, I wore an Alien and Predator t-shirt. You should appreciate that, Rex.
What?
The fact that I wore an Alien and Predator t-shirt.
Oh, you did? I didn't see it.
I did.
Oh, that's nice.
I'll have to send you a picture of what it looked like.
That's nice. Also, I think I didn't realize this the first watch, but when I was looking at it a second time, eventually I kind of realized that all the military scenes, there's a reference to Shin Godzilla with all the text that just shows up.
Is there?
Yeah, I think it's meant to be a Shin Godzilla reference but it only shows up during the military scenes.
Oh, where they're like...
They just have labels always coming up.
I wonder if that... I don't know. That's actually... I've never thought about that.
Yeah, I only thought of it like halfway through the movie where I'm like, wait, they only keep doing it here.
Actually, this is probably a good segment to bring up something that you and I both talked about, and as you'll hear in our reactions, I think it comes up a couple times. So, first of all, SRS Universe or SRS Multiverse with all the different scenes, right? That's not official, but unofficially, right?
Yeah.
So, do you think that ZillaFoot is the Deadpool and Wolverine of the kaiju genre?
Well, I did make some comparisons to Deadpool and Wolverine in the initial watch. You know, in some cases it did have similar writing, similar quality in writing.
Well, I bring that up because, you know, one of the things about Marvel movies and something from Marvel movies that has bled into just Hollywood in general, especially when you're doing IP films or like love letters to genres, is the concept of Easter eggs and references and visual nods and certain lines of dialogue. And this film is undoubtedly a glorified, not even glorified, it's just a straight up fan film. Yeah,
there's a lot of references to the genre, mainly just Godzilla and Ultraman.
But, you know, you brought up the Shin Godzilla reference. I wore an Alien Predator t-shirt. You know, John's in this movie, and he was Konga in Konga TNT, the footage from the other kaiju movies and Attack from Space, the typical 50s B movie opening with the dialogue and the whole, like, God created the heavens and the earth, which I think is something that they did in The Giant Behemoth, I think, where they were like, in the Bible, it says this about the behemoth.
I think you are right. I think that does happen in that movie.
But there, and then of course aliens and a meteorite. You know, the concept of a meteorite landing and an alien monster coming up, like from Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. These aliens are very much supposed to like be Exilian stand-ins. Jesus. Throughout like the entire film, like they have similar story concepts. At one point, they say a line that's basically from the controller from Final Wars. It kind of, you know, it reminds me of a film that like is full of cameos of films and verbal nods to films that don't exist or do exist and whatnot.
I mean, the thing is that a lot of parody films kind of rely on that too much, and I feel like this is another example where it's just like the crutch of this is if you're watching this, you kind of and want to get some amount of enjoyment out of it, you kind of have to like kaiju movies. But this is such an insufferable experience that it makes me hate kaiju movies.
And I think that's something too, is like you have to, in a way, like the audience for this film is underground film fans, but it's also very niche. It has to be kaiju fans, right?
Right.
But it also can't be people, you know, this won't be the, you know, you and I'm going to say this, it's going to sound really pretentious. You and I have taste. We have a certain taste of kaiju films, you know. We do watch indie films, but we also appreciate very specific indie films and don't appreciate other types of indie films, right?
Right. I mean, there's just certain qualities that I think if a film has, there's certain qualities that films have that make me appreciate them, whether or not, you know, they're necessarily like they've got a high or low budget or they're visually like well shot or whatnot. Like there's certain things that can make me more forgiving of a film's like visual flaws, you know?
Exactly. And I would think that if a film were to, I'm trying to think of an example here. Yeah, like The World Sinks Except Japan. It's not a kaiju film, but it's a disaster film that Minoru Kawasaki did. It's very obvious that the film was shot digitally. Like, it's very obviously on a digital camera. But the film has such an intriguing storyline for me. For you, I know that's Monster X Strikes Back. But I loved the storyline, the writing so much that despite the film being kind of dull visually, the narrative was enough to keep me interested.
Right. Right. And it almost felt like, you know, regardless on like how pretentious you want to be and how much you want to say, oh, this movie has meaning or something, like both of those movies specifically, at the very least, they kind of just represent someone's own sort of like thoughts and feelings on the political state at the time, which to me, that makes it more interesting of a watch.
Mm-hmm. And the unfortunate reality of ZillaFoot, like, there's no way, like, you know, I've said, you know, on the MIFE episode, which I explained in there, you know, the film is a commentary on the state of the kaiju fandom. You have jokingly talked about how ZillaFoot is about the human condition.
Yeah.
But I think the only thing you can pull from this movie on a commentary standpoint is the general consensus of what a kaiju film is. This film is a satire of that, and it's not meant to be. Because
it's less of a satire, and it's more just like it's just poking fun at certain things without much of an actual point to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of my issue with parody films like this, is that, and also an issue I had with like Deadpool and Wolverine, is like you can make jokes like this and point to satirize these issues, but make a point out of it, you know? Don't just like point these things out so the audience can laugh and then make the same mistakes. Just like do something with it. Try and say something.
Mm-hmm. And I think to that point, to me, one of the hardest issues is the jokes they're making here are not like, they're not being, it's a film that very obviously doesn't keep that consistent. There's points where there's, you know, the bad dubbing joke. Then suddenly the bad dubbing joke goes away. There's points where there's obvious references to other kaiju movies. But the honest to God answer is a lot of this just happened. People did this just for the fun of it, which is, you know, good on them. Good to make movies for fun, right?
Look, the thing with this movie is that as a viewing, I feel like as a viewing experience, this is one of the hardest things I've sat through for a while. It is a complete mess. Like, even ignoring just like the main scenes from the short film, just because of the fact that it's got all those scenes and then you just add a whole bunch of new scenes to pad it out from various other directors. It's a very just messy, inconsistent experience from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
But for what it's worth, it definitely would have been fun to make, and I can respect the actual enjoyment there would have been making the film.
Yeah.
It's just, as a watch, it's a painful experience.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is on a narrative standpoint, this film, you can't watch this. You know, this, and I say that because, like, we weren't given direction on what the story was. You know, we were given an idea from Ron, and then we ran with that. And, you know, John came up with the general idea for our scene, and then we went with that, right? We didn't know it was at the opening. At least I didn't know it was at the beginning and opening of this movie. but it was. I thought this was something that was going to end up being in the middle of the film.
Right.
But I was wrong. And when I watched it for the first time, I was genuinely shocked that I was there, like front and center. But, I didn't know Danny worked on this movie. We were friends and I didn't know that. And Danny didn't know either. And so, it's one of those things where we all just kind of did the movie for fun. We didn't know what we were doing.
Right.
And, it on a narrative standpoint, it's very obvious because there wasn't a lot of thought put into how will this make sense. It was more, what is fun? What can we do to do it? And I would venture as far as to say the main storyline, I think, was shot all remotely. I think you had the 3 scientists, their scenes. Then you had Missouri and her scenes with the one
Flash?
scientist.
Oh,
not
suit guy.
that. Yeah.
Suit guy. I don't know his name. I never caught it.
And then you have Flash, who shot remotely, and we know that because they literally had to green screen everything in with them too. Flash and Missouri. And then you had the military guys. And the reason that I know the military guys were separate is, and this is going to transition us back into the actual plot, the frame rate with the military scenes is a little off. Did you notice that?
A little, but generally, I think I like the military scenes the most because they actually looked like there was some kind of thought in the actual lighting, framing, and production design almost.
I think the biggest issue, though, is there isn't a extreme amount of color correction put into the film, put into those scenes, because you see artifacts.
Honestly, I feel like compared to later scenes, the color correction here is pretty fine. There's some VFX overlays for some kind of these dust effects. I forget what they're specifically called, and those look awful. But other than that, it's I think these scenes generally are the best looking parts of the movie.
See, it's still an issue for me, and that's why I bring it up. I think I agree it's not one of the biggest issues, but I'm just going to continue to bring up problems I have with this film. Just the whole line, as soon as we're introduced to the military guys, the Corporal Fort, and I only know his name. I couldn't tell you which one he is. They look the same. But the only reason I know who that is because of the little text that shows up when he shows up. His opening line is, "We have some satellite updates with the images of the monster." And he just kind of he stumbles through all of his lines.
Right. I mean, I can forgive that because I don't think anyone here is a professional actor. I can forgive that.
I was just couldn't you do another take?
I don't know. Maybe it's their best take.
Then do it again. It's not like you have a limited amount of film to do it on. You can just delete a clip and redo it.
I mean, hey, I don't know if this movie had a do it again approach. I think it had a maybe 1 to 2 takes approach.
Maybe. I don't know. But either way, I mean,
given the editing, I could see that being a possibility.
It's very obvious the editing was the last thing on their list of worries.
Yeah.
That being said, I will say following this interaction, we do get pretty funny sequences, especially the "How's the wife?"
Oh,
and
the
the response,
pregnant. It's a miracle joke.
Yeah, and
that's
then
a decent one. I'll give it that. There's occasionally a couple decent jokes in here. Very few and far between, though.
And I think the only reason that this joke is really funny is because of how sincere they play it.
Yeah.
Because, he literally is "How's the wife?" "Oh, she's 8 months pregnant." And then the other military guy says, "Corporal, you've been in this military base for 3 years." And then he's "I know. It's a miracle."
Yeah.
And I think it cuts back to the other guy's reaction. And he's "What?"
It just so happens that the best jokes in this movie usually don't have anything to do with kaiju movies.
That's true, actually. Anything that's not a kaiju movie joke is the best.
But yeah, We then cut back to the scientists who are...
Actually, we cut back to black again.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, it cuts away and then it's black again. Like they don't... I don't know why, but it's black. And then we go to the aliens.
Oh, right. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead. My bad.
You're trying to get us through this movie quicker.
Yeah, you should let me.
Nope.
Well, something, they're preparing ZillaFoot, and we get a title card.
Which is really cool, Ultraman-inspired...
Unironically best part of the movie, because it's like a fun Ultraman reference with bootleg Ifukube music.
It's all this opening sequence was created by Raf Inoshima, which is a internet profile name. I don't know what his actual... Maybe that is his real name. I doubt it. But he's also in this movie. He plays the Crimson Weirdo, which is an internet personality that he plays on YouTube. And we do get various other kaiju cameos in this opening montage. Yeah.
We see like the squid from what's it called? Monster Seafood Wars, and some other.
And then there's like a webbed monster, a crab monster, like a Medusa, and like a turtle monster and a bird monster.
Yeah, I don't know what they are. I don't know if they're a reference to something or not, but
I'm guessing an SRS monster.
I wouldn't know. Don't know if
I don't
want to
know. I know there's a shark from House Shark there.
Oh yeah, there is a shark, yeah.
But we also get really bad sans serif fonts again in like a yellow color.
Yeah.
It works a little bit more here.
Yeah, but it still just kind of seems a bit lazy.
Obnoxious. Yeah. And then we cut to the establishing shots and the introduction to Flash.
Yeah, Flash in Missouri in absurdly oversaturated footage.
Yeah, during the introduction to Flash, he's watching, I believe it's like an Italian movie. Danny said it was that. I'm not sure, but shout out to Danny for identifying Attack from Space in the scene from, or the movie from this. It's an Italian showman movie, I think he said. And then we also get a Little Destroy All Monsters poster, and then of course Flash wears this Mothra versus Godzilla
obnoxious
shirt.
Mothra versus Godzilla shirt the entire movie in this obnoxious yellow color.
That's the problem. It's this awful yellow. And with the highly saturated look, it just, oh my god, I can't stand it. This is also the introduction to the ADR bad dubbing joke, I think.
Yeah, which at no point is ever funny.
No, especially with like it doesn't even sound like they're trying. Like it legitimately sounds like they were told to just read the lines, because like it's all very bland.
Which is probably the point of the joke, but it's just annoying.
It's really annoying. And this is also the beginning of some really off-putting jokes.
Oh, the sort of like the weird sexual humor.
Yeah, that's like around Missouri.
Look, I know what kind of movie this is, but yeah, no, it was a bit off-putting.
I didn't like it.
Nor did I. It just felt kind of
creepy.
Yeah, it gave off a really bad vibe.
It reminded me of King Kong 76.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Kind of like that really like, what's the term?
Sleaziness?
Sleazy, yeah. Yeah,
just the way it was written just felt sleazy. Like it almost just reflected less on like the characters saying it and more just like the writing, in all honesty. Like, you're gonna write like this? Okay.
Especially,
I know what kind of movie this is, but even still, like, it just ends up feeling like perverted, frankly. See,
I think my biggest thing about that is like this film is obviously homaging and referencing like Japanese films. And historically speaking, I think if we're talking Japanese kaiju eiga, you're not going to see a lot of this sleaziness. In fact, throughout the genre, especially in the Godzilla films, and I'd say Ultraman especially, they don't do this sleaziness. It's very much respectful and in some cases like more pushing the genre forward to like strong women characters without sexualizing them.
Right. I mean, that's true. Actually, the kaiju films tended to be a bit more progressive, unless you're ironically Gappa or Gamera vs. Gauss,
or The X from Outer Space.
Yeah.
Or any film financed by the Japanese government. Which I think says something about the Japanese government.
I mean, look, everyone knows the Japanese government isn't exactly the most progressive.
This is true. This is very true.
It's
and
an
Shin
open
Godzilla also
secret.
shows that. And speaking of all the sleaziness, like, we get that immediately following this when Missouri goes into, like, this camera equipment room.
Right, and there's...
This guy.
It's like almost every character that introduces with her is just like flirting with her or making some sort of like sexual comments towards her.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that doesn't like entirely scream as like being crazy perverted is the scientist that hits on her later.
Yeah, because they're like, granted, I think their quote unquote flirting scene is
It's
kind
meant
of
to be more
forced.
It's meant to be more like awkward-ish.
Yes.
Because the scientist is meant to be an awkward character.
And it never really comes across as creepy, you know? It just comes across as like weird flirting.
Right. Which I prefer to the dialogue, to the sexual dialogue in these earlier scenes.
Yeah, I especially didn't appreciate the whole, like, you know,
the comment about her, like, sleeping around to make her way up in the world, or?
That, and then the following comment where she was like, watch me steal this stuff, and he was like, oh, I will, and I like what I'm seeing. It's like, oh, God. This whole scene just is awful. Like, even the sound design, like, there's no Foley, nothing. It's just awkwardly silent until he says the very bad lines.
Yeah. Thankfully, once it's over, we cut back to the scientists.
Actually, this is their introduction. We're not cutting back to him. This is where they show up for the first time.
Damn, I'm forgetting already. That's a good sign. That means I can erase this movie from my memory.
I don't think you ever will.
You don't want me to swear. God damn it. I hate this censorship, man. Hate it. But yeah, we're introduced to the scientists who learn about the meteorite, and then we pretty quickly cut back to the military guys.
Actually, I did a little bit of digging in this scene. So, first of all, there's an obvious warp stabilizer, which is a effect on Adobe Premiere Pro that like makes the footage look steady. If you use it too extensively, there's artifacts around the edges of the screen that are like warping the actual footage, and it's very obvious. And during these scenes, you can see it. And later on, during Matthew's scenes, you can also see the warp stabilizer effect used.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, what's funny is the newspaper they hand. It's mirrored. So a lot of the footage that's actually from the original film is mirrored. Like they've flipped it.
Yeah, I noticed that a few times.
And I don't know if that's their attempt to make the English language look foreign, because like this film, like they reference the Japanese government.
I don't think it's necessarily used. Like in this scene, it's used when there's like English text on screen, but I don't think it's always used for that purpose.
That's true. But like I don't know, it's weird because like during
you think it's later to like mask like breaking of like the 180 rule, but first of all, I question if anyone involved in this movie knows what the 180 rule is.
I don't think they do.
And second of all, it's like it'll just be like entire scenes are kind of flipped.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I don't understand what the purpose is of it at points. It just looks weird.
Mm-hmm. But I looked at what the newspaper that they hand, because they actually like showcase the front of the newspaper, flipped of course, and it's a newspaper called The Flashlight, which is a student paper from Commonwealth University of Mansfield in
That is
Pennsylvania.
probably the building they shot like most
It is.
scientists in.
I looked and I cross-referenced, and this is the exact location that they shot at.
Makes sense.
But when you see some of the shots of the newspaper, they've like taped on Japanese writing. And then when we cut to the like an over-the-shoulder shot,
they've taped it on and they've like composited it on, I think.
Yes, so the close-up they actually did a composite on, except for on the bottom right-hand corner, you can see a Godzilla vs. Hedorah like promotional poster. That's from the original stuff they taped on. Everything else is composited in, and the only reason you can tell is the Hedorah poster's got a fold in it from where Mark Polonia. It is. Where Mark is holding it, there's an indent, but the composited, it's two different newspapers that have been composited on here. It looks awful.
Yeah.
And from what I translated, the newspaper they have on there is talking about Hasegawa and some sort of like deforestation or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think they really cared.
I think they just grabbed
They
something
just got
that
random
was
newspaper that, since it's Japanese, no one will know.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which honestly, if that was the extent of the flaws in this movie, I'd be like, whatever, that's fine.
But that's not the case. Now, we do get a semi-interesting sequence. Granted, it's probably shot in somebody's garage. But we cut to the war room, which has a lot of like, and this is where the military guys will spend the rest of the film in. And it's like this LED lit up like base.
Yeah. And it's got the best production design in the movie.
It does. Though there is this weird artificial dust that they've put over, like it's overlaid over this footage that looks
that's
really
what I was
bad.
About.
Yeah.
It's literally an effect you can download off YouTube videos and just like blend it with the screen effect and like you're done.
Yeah. It's not looking the greatest.
It doesn't even need to be there.
It doesn't. And like another example of like the bad compositing in this scene is the monitor that he turns on, which actually looks pretty good initially when it's like loading up.
Shockingly good.
And then as soon as it like actually turns on and like there's artificial lighting, it just looks god awful.
Yeah. But shortly after this scene, we cut back to the scientists again because this movie loves to cut around a bunch of things for no reason with little flow to it. And we are introduced to the GXG-1 ship.
Which is 2,000 feet below the ground.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. There's also this thing where I wonder if it's an Ultraman reference, because like they heavily like throw in as many footstep sound effects as they can, and they don't line up. But it kind of reminded me of like how in Ultra 7 and whatnot, like you can hear the sounds of their foot, like when they're running around, the sound of like the Ultra Guard and the Science Patrol, like in honestly all of the Showa Ultraman, Science Patrol teams, you can hear the sounds of their boots, clacking on the ground very like clearly. I don't know if it's a reference to that, but it kind of reminded me of that.
I doubt it. I think it's just poor sound. I just think it's poor sound design.
I would probably. It also just sounds awful here.
Because I think sometimes footsteps can be a little. For me, I think they were kind of more challenging for me to get right, and I've never entirely been satisfied with the ones I've put in, like my stuff.
Perhaps. We also are introduced to our other main character.
What, Suit Scientist?
Suit Scientist.
Yeah, he's there doing something. I think he's like eavesdropping on them or something.
Something.
I wasn't entirely sure.
He just kind of appears and then disappears and then reappears again for no reason.
Right. But yeah, we're introduced to the GXG-1 spaceship that is very important to the movie, and
Very.
I'm so happy we get several scenes dedicated to it.
And very bad lens flares during this introduction.
Yeah.
And then Missouri and Flash show up. Granted, it's very obvious that, like, they're separate.
Right. It's literally just, like, reverse shot on them, like, pretty, like, front-on shots.
And, like, even the lighting, like, it's obvious they were shot at different times.
And locations.
And, yeah. Yeah, I love how, like, she ends up getting in on the same side that he's supposed to be getting on, which is awful. There's also some awkward lines here, too.
Right, because it's trying to establish that they're like exes.
Yeah, it's really bad.
It's literally just there for a joke later.
It is. And then as they're driving off, we go back to our scientists who are now in the woods.
With some weird banjo music. So why are they here anyways?
They're looking for the meteorite that the
Oh, I forgot there was a meteorite.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a meteorite? I thought it was a cave entrance at first.
No, that is a cave entrance.
Oh.
Yeah, and some like first person POV. Like honestly, I feel like they're trying to invoke the Predator. Oddly enough, I was wearing an Alien and Predator shirt, but
I mean, yeah, they're going for that, like, Predator, like, hunting vision for the aliens in this. Because there is one stalking them in this sequence.
Mm-hmm. And then they also do, like, a similar sound effect later on. Also, bear in mind, we're not even 20 minutes into, like, the actual film.
Why do you do this to me?
But, like, there's so much to complain about. We're not even 20 minutes in. Also, is this a bad time to bring up how this film has an oddly similar plot to Reptilian?
Yeah, with the aliens in particular, the way they're kind of shot kind of reminds me of Reptilian.
Mm-hmm, and the fact that, like, they control ZillaFoot.
And they reawaken an ancient dinosaur, too.
Mm-hmm, which is very similar to Psychor. And, like, they're talking about sending in, like, they're going to take over the planet. And, like, it's just a lot of this it just reminded me a lot of Reptilian. It could be. It very well could be. Though I do think it's funny how, like, ZillaFoot and Reptilian both are, like, critically hated. Though one of them I think's obviously better.
Yeah. I can concede that one is a little bit better.
Speaking of ZillaFoot, this is where we're introduced to ZillaFoot for the first time.
Yes, the aliens finally bring him out. He makes some King Kong/King Caesar roars, and
he shows up just like Reptilian, I just realized. And he shows up like in this random like quarry too, which again is a lot like Reptilian.
I don't know if you want to be reminded of Reptilian of all movies, but hey, here we are.
I like Reptilian.
Well, good on you.
Thank you. Also, following the introduction to ZillaFoot, which is very anticlimactic, by the way, we get one of the greatest lines in script writing history. And Rex, do you know what I'm referring to?
What? It's some kind of Godzilla Bigfoot monster, a ZillaFoot.
Yeah, the exact line is, "Sir, from what I can comprehend, it's some sort of Godzilla Bigfoot hybrid, the ZillaFoot, if you will."
But that might be the best line in screenwriting history I've heard since Deadpool and Wolverine. And that truly pushed boundaries in terms of script writing.
It's some sort of Godzilla Bigfoot hybrid, a ZillaFoot.
I wasn't paying a lot of attention to the credits. Out of curiosity, how many writers are credited on this film? Again?
So here's the thing. So the whole military thing was written and shot by somebody who did it remotely. So you have the main writer, Anthony, and then like John wrote our scenes, and then I improv'd. So there's 3 already. This like Danny wrote his scenes, Matthew wrote his scenes.
So upwards of like 10.
Probably 10 writers total. Yes.
Well, we're pushing some kind of boundaries. I don't know if we're pushing the right ones here.
Oh, and then Ron, of course, had some creative influence too on all of this as well. So then you have him.
Hey, we're pushing some sort of boundary forward, maybe.
Oh, I love how you hate this movie.
You know the Men in Black movies?
The one that they reference?
You know how in the Men in Black movies they have like the memory sticks?
The red little, the red like light sticks.
You flash and you just forget. Yeah. I'm sure you see where I'm going with this.
I don't. I've forgotten what you're talking about.
Oh, I want to erase my fucking mind. Just my entire mind, honestly, at this point. Make it so that I just have to start again. And, if I don't know it about kaiju movies, then I can never watch ZillaFoot again.
That's funny.
But yeah, Flash and Missouri go investigating the crash site and are stalked by aliens. Flash gets knocked down, not killed.
Do you like the color palette and the composition of them here?
No.
What's it remind you of?
Hell. Paul.
Oh, that's funny. Also, during like the sequences in the woods at night, you can very clearly see the light sources or like lights hidden by trees.
Yeah.
Also, did they explain why they suddenly went from like gibberish subtitled aliens to speaking English aliens?
Yeah, I was going to mention that. It's like, why are the aliens speaking English to each other now?
I really don't get it.
I genuinely think they just forgot that they established that.
Maybe they ran out of sound effects, so they're like, just have them speak English.
You think they wouldn't? This movie repeats a lot, has a lot of repetitive sound design. You think they would have cared about that?
That's actually true. You got a point.
But yeah, Missouri and Flash investigate. ZillaFoot shows up.
Flash gets knocked out by the alien, like very suddenly and awkwardly.
Yeah, I thought he got killed, but unfortunately he didn't.
Unfortunately not. And then we get back to the military people.
Yeah, I love padding.
Yeah, no kidding. We get the introduction to the cryptid.
A cryptozoologist guy who's thrown out immediately after.
Yeah, he's literally there for just a couple of jokes. While he does his intro, we get like one of the military guys points a gun at the other guy's head.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
As someone who's been on a film set where we had actual guns, we had very specific gun safety rules. So watching this is like, man, America's crazy.
Land of the free.
Yeah.
And home of the brave.
How many gun devils are you? But yeah, no, it was like, just like, I get this is a film where no one here is a professional, but my God, that actually just bugged me. Because just seeing him point, like, obviously it's a fake gun, it really doesn't matter. But it's like, still, I think it's more my frustration for someone else because of the hurdles they had to go through for their film, where it's like frustrating to see a film like this where no one just cared and they're just pointing guns at each other's heads.
Right. I will say this, the fact that like that's something that goes on. And, you know, another thing that happens during this scene is during some of the just back and forth between the cryptozoologist and our main military guy. Like the other military dude just runs into the cryptozoologist, and the cryptozoologist is like, "Excuse you, bro." And like it's the fact that there's like background jokes that like take you out of everything that's going on, like the focal point. It makes you question, like, what am I supposed to be watching here? Am I supposed to be watching the main narrative, or am I supposed to be watching these background jokes?
We're watching padding. That's what we're doing. That's what we're here
I don't even
for.
think it's padding in these. It's just like really poor staging and like blocking.
Yeah, there is
Like
that
it feels like they're just doing whatever, which again, good for them for having fun, but it's like on a narrative standpoint, what's the point here? Like, what do you want people to get from this scene? The fact that you have a bumbling idiot that's like slurring through everything, pointing guns at people, running into people, not realizing they're there? Or do you want people to take note of the story that is supposed to, like, that is one of the three main points of the story?
Speaking of what's the point of having this, the scuba diving scene.
Do we need to pause for a second and reconsider?
We need to pause just so I can process.
Yeah, so for the listeners at home, as you enjoyed listening to Rex's reactions here, in about 25 minutes into ZillaFoot, they cut to a sequence of stock footage of underwater footage. And they have 4 or 5 people doing some voice acting.
What was I listening to?
But instead of taking it seriously, they're making jokes about...
I mean, they're self-aware, I guess. I don't know. I don't care.
Remember when you mentioned that this was the best screenwriting since Deadpool and Wolverine?
It's literally written just like Deadpool and Wolverine in its self-awareness. It just points it out. It's like, yeah, we're self-aware.
So could ZillaFoot be the Deadpool and Wolverine of the Kaiju Eiga?
At least Deadpool and Wolverine knows it has to do crowd-pleasing things and be a crowd pleaser. I don't think this is a crowd pleaser.
You haven't been pleased yet?
Clearly not. I think you can hear the despair in my voice.
This is why I thought best if you were under the influence so you could forget about this the next day.
God, I should have bought that soju, then I could have blacked out. God damn it. I'm realizing my mistakes here.
There's also a joke about Dai Studios, I believe they call it.
Yeah, that R.I.P. Dai.
If you want to hear more about the death of Dai, check out our Kaiju Month Dai Month 2024, where we cover the Whale God, Daimajin, Gamera vs. Gyaos, and Gamera vs. Barugan.
I don't even know what to say to that. That actually, God, I don't know what's worse, you or the script.
How about both? Because I was in both.
Oh, God.
There's a common factor here for you, Rex.
It was just to make my life worse.
We're learning a lot about your life today, Rex.
God damn it. Why did I agree to this?
Have you finished off one of your drinks yet?
Well, I still haven't finished the second one. Clearly, I'm gonna need the third.
Now, we're not done with this scene.
We're only 25 minutes in. I think you can hear the despair in my voice getting worse and worse.
Yeah, I'm watching you slowly fall into madness.
Oh my God. God, I sound like I'm about to cry. I genuinely sound like it. Oh my God. Okay, we have to press play soon.
No. So before we continue forward with this scene,
God.
Rex, I need you to give us a detailed breakdown of what you've watched and how you're feeling.
I want to jump off a bridge. That's how I feel.
So give us a breakdown of what you've witnessed and how it makes you feel.
I'm in purgatory. That's what I've witnessed. This is what they... So, you know how the CIA has, like, various torture methods that break the Geneva Conventions? Yeah, this is one of them.
No.
Oh, well, now you do.
Okay.
Do you even know what the Geneva Conventions are?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was about to say, that would not reflect well on American education.
But I wouldn't attend a Geneva Convention, if you ask me.
You don't... That's not what the... You
know, I'm going all in now. I'm going to enjoy this.
I'm going to jump off the bridge by the end of this.
You still got to break down what you've witnessed so far.
Scuba divers and you, but if you were cast as I already said, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, did you see how hunched over you were? Are we watching the same movie here? Did you see it? I also saw Giant Monster, allegedly, I think. I don't know. The viewer has been put in purgatory, and this is what they put while they wait to judge whether you're going to heaven or hell. In my case, I'm definitely going to hell.
And then so this whole thing is supposed to be like the lake that ZillaFoot's residing in?
Yeah.
I guess.
I guess.
This is the only time ZillaFoot's ever in the water.
And he pops out of it immediately after, too.
Yeah. And it's not like, he's down here looking for... He's just roaming. Like, it feels throughout this film, because later on, they bring this up, and I'll bring it up now. They, like, mention that ZillaFoot's struggling to, like, adapt to Earth's atmosphere, and, like, that they need to speed up that process. But, like, it's never mentioned again. There's just a ton of stuff that ZillaFoot does that just... he does. And it never comes back. It's never mentioned.
Yeah.
Like his whole lightning eyeball power or whatever. Like, he just does stuff. It's like Show a Godzilla, but instead of it being a plot MacGuffin, it's just like ZillaFoot just does whatever he wants.
Yeah. I don't know. That was the least of my problems with the movie.
You keep saying that. It's like everything's the least of your problems with this movie.
Yeah, because there's a lot of problems here. I need to pause for my own sanity.
Okay, tell us why. What's going on?
My mouth is agape. What am I watching? Okay, so I'm not the type of person to watch a low-budget film and just hate it because it's a low-budget film, the effects are kind of shoddy or whatever. Like, genuinely, I am probably the type of person who's going to look past that, like, more than the average person. Like, for God's sake, I love Ouija Shark. I am the last person to, like, harp on a movie just because it's like, I get it. I genuinely do. But what am I watching? And don't you say ZillaFoot.
If you need a summary...
Do I want a summary?
So in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
Do I want a summary? I don't think I want the summary anymore.
And then man. And then man created war, and war created monsters.
I think I should have made you pass the summary.
And so then the monsters then attacked the world.
You know, there's maybe only a few... Off the top of my head, there's maybe 2 movies I can think of that I've watched that I can say are actively worse than this.
What are they? Let's hear them.
Pulse, the 2006 remake, and Guinea Pig. Because those might be 2 of the worst movies I've ever seen. This is annoying me the same way those annoyed me. You know, I didn't think I would actually hate this. I knew it was going to be bad, but like, I didn't think I'd hate it, you know?
You don't hate it. You're secretly loving this movie.
No.
Secretly, deep down inside, you want to admit
on Letterboxd, the worst part is I thought I looked fat.
What do you mean?
Sorry, I just checked my phone for a second. And I see that. You've given it. You gave it half a star too. What are you accusing me of?
What? Hold on. You need to restart that sentence over again and say it slower.
Nah. I give up on that sentence.
So you got your phone out briefly and you opened it. And what did you see?
I saw your review on Letterboxd saying the worst part is I look fat, and it was written 5 minutes ago or something. I cannot believe this. Oh, my bad. 40 minutes ago. We've been here for 40 minutes and we're only 25 minutes in. Oh my god. Oh my god. And there's a possum on my ceiling. God damn it, that scared me.
What are you talking about?
Sorry, there was a possum on the ceiling, like right above my room.
What does that mean?
Do you not know what a possum is, you goddamn
I know
baboon.
what a possum is.
Baboon. Anyways, the scientists don't even get attacked by ZillaFoot, they get attacked by the aliens.
Yeah, also the suit guy shows up here randomly.
Yeah, he's just there. He fights off a bunch of aliens and survives, but the others get killed except for one that gets possessed later.
Also, the ADR disappears here.
Yeah, it disappears periodically. I hate movies now.
And then the alien also, like, possesses one of the guys? Or was he always an alien? It doesn't really establish what happened.
Who cares?
And then we get, like, this very... It reminded me, there's a indie, like, low-budget movie from, like, the 70s. I think it's called The Galaxy Invader. That, like, has an alien with a gun and, like, a dude who has a gun. And, like, they have this weird, like, back-and-forth gunfight. It reminded me a lot of this sequence at night where the suit guy is shooting at the alien, which also reminds me of Predator, because he's in the trees shooting. And the sound is just so bad. I just hate it.
Mm.
Also, the Musco Chop, that's in here. The suit guy acts like he's an anime character the whole time.
I mean, it's just like a stereotype of like a Japanese person. Like when he runs, he's like, hi.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels a lot of like the Japanese jokes in this movie feel kind of weird because all but pretty much everyone in the cast except for this guy, ironically, is a white people.
Mm-hmm. Is a white people.
So it just feels weird for them to be making a lot of like these jokes about like the Japanese.
Right, and they talk about the Japanese government and they talk about attacking
and most of the characters
Tokyo.
Have Japanese names.
And even like Missouri, like in the certain credits she's credited as Missouri, like the state Missouri. But then like the way they say her name is also like Miss Uri. You know, like Missouri, but you know, again, that doesn't really make sense. As Flash calls her Missouri. It's just really awkward, and like you said, most of these characters have Japanese names. They talk about the Japanese government. At one point, there's stock footage from Japan, and then they use like Japanese text on that newspaper, but everything else is very clearly American.
Yeah. I don't know, it just feels weird. Like, I get it, you're parodying Japanese movies, but like, just drop it. It feels like whether or not like the intent is to be racist, it just kind of comes across that way a little at a certain point when you're just doing so much of that.
And the whole bad dubbing joke. Like, to me, the whole concept of the bad dubbing joke has a kind of a racist undertone to a certain extent.
Right. Like, I don't think the actual intention here was to be racist. It's just like there's this kind of racist undertone to the movie.
Mm-hmm. See, I guess I could talk a little bit on this because, you know, I did a short film, Edokami no Gyakushu. Like, that's its title. It's a Japanese title, has a Japanese like when I have the title in the film, it's in Japanese. It's the kanji.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Edo Kami no Gyakushu. It's not the Romanji. And, outside of that, I also just, throughout the film, it's a statue that's inspired by Japanese statues in it. Like the monster in it is called Edo Kami, it does have Japanese influences, but all of my characters, they have English names. They're white people. Like they talk in English. Like and the music's influenced by Japanese music, but it's not trying to be Japanese. The Japanese influence is obviously there, but I'm not trying to be a Japanese film. I'm not naming my characters Yamamoto and I don't even remember the names of these people. Like Yashiro and Dr. Kasaki. Like, I'm not doing that. It's like Alan, Alex, Matt, and Jacob. Like, white names. That's what I'm doing for my characters. It's just I don't like the whole trying to be a Japanese movie. Especially when a lot of the jokes here kind of come across as demeaning.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly.
Talking about the effects, after this whole fight sequence in the dark, which is also impossible to see, they go back to the aliens. And this was where I really noticed in my second viewing for preparing for this film, like this episode, the weird like distort effect, the twirl effect or whatever, is really awful. And it's not consistent, but like it's really just disorienting and distracting.
Yeah, I don't know why it's there, in all honesty, outside of aliens. Oh, must be weird.
Yeah, I'm not a fan at all.
I would have just preferred just show the footage normally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly there. And their whole thing is they're talking about bringing ZillaFoot back, and the alien that let the one human go, which is our suit guy, and then he meets up with Missouri, and they just watch ZillaFoot run, and then
fall to the ground,
like, just in a jump cut. Yeah, he just jumps and he falls onto the ground. And
then there's some like weird cuts in this where it's like the shot is like stretched for like a frame, and then it goes like it's back to normal for one of the cuts. It's really weird, and I don't know why it's like that.
It more awful editing.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
It feels like that one you kind of have that almost doesn't feel like a mistake. That one, like, there had to be like some sort of thought behind that one, but I'm like, what was the thought here?
It could have been an issue, like importing the footage, and like they didn't go to fix it.
I don't think so. I don't know how that would really make much sense for a fit.
Maybe it was the footage at like originally, because there's a way you can like make the footage be cropped, right?
Yeah, I know that.
To fit a screen. Perhaps it was like they didn't get all of it, and that's
only a second. It's like a split second.
Yeah, it's like maybe 4 to 10 frames.
Whatever.
I don't know. And then we cut to some really just awkward, again, like fade ins and fades out of like close-ups of the military guys in slow-mo, like getting ready for an attack.
Right.
Followed by another joke with the whole like, I feel bad about, the Corporal Fort is like, I'm feeling really, I don't feel good about this. Can I call my wife? And he's told no.
Yeah, and then we end up cutting back to Missouri and Suit, who have their previously mentioned awkward flirting scene. Meanwhile, Flash is revealed to still be alive, and he's running from ZillaFoot.
And some really, really oversaturated footage. Like, it's really bad there.
Yeah. But hey, we get surely an exciting action scene where ZillaFoot fights the tanks,
Yeah, this is where the
shot repetitively.
Yeah, it's really repetitive. Like
and it's mostly just ZillaFoot standing around and shooting tanks until the occasional moment where he throws a couple.
Right, and this is also where we get the awful scaling, because they shot this like in the backyard of like Anthony's house, I'm guessing, and like it's very, very poorly done with like the trees in the background.
The tanks are generally shot somewhat okay if you ignore the trees. Like the tanks look, honestly, like the way the tanks are shot, they almost look big.
The tanks are fine. It's ZillaFoot that struggles.
Yeah.
And it's simply because of the background with him,
right? Because he's so close to the woods.
Yes, it would have been better if they. Honestly, I would say it would have been better if they just composited ZillaFoot attacking the tanks.
I can't believe I'm kind of agreeing with you, but then I feel like, I don't know, maybe the framing would get worse because generally the composite shots have like really flat framing.
I think that's an issue just in general when it comes to indie filmmaking and compositing.
That's true. But yeah, because I mean, I'll give this scene this. There's some, like, it feels like there was actually some care and consideration for the framing of shots here.
Yes, there's some. Every fight or like action sequence doesn't look bad. Like they actually like do a good job at, shooting at a low angle. Sometimes it looks like Shin Godzilla with these tanks, like where the camera's attached to the tank almost, looking up at ZillaFoot.
I mean, there's one shot that I think is a fun idea where it's like it's attached to the side of the tank and ZillaFoot's arm like reaches onto it. Like I think that's a fun shot.
I agree.
As long as you ignore the woods in the background that ruin the scale. But anyways, it's fine. But yeah, and then we cut to El Sapo Blanco.
Oh, God.
A bad joke that goes on way, way, way too long.
And this is another example of really bad text on screen. Like there's a period in the news report and whatnot. This whole thing looks bad.
I mean, yeah, that's the whole movie, to be fair.
But this is not the first, and it's not the only time there's a news report sequence. And the whole joke, I wish it was too. The whole joke here is when it cuts to it, you get the opening and then El Sapo, but you can't hear him. And then it like restarts and then you do it again and it works.
I wouldn't have hated it if they didn't restart it twice.
Yeah, like they try to do the whole like rule of thirds with the joke. Like it's funny until the third time. But the problem is it's not even funny the first time. It's awkward. And you're just kind of sitting there. And honestly, I think it's because this movie is so... Its quality varies. Sometimes the audio has clipping. Sometimes it's ADR. Sometimes it's not ADR. Sometimes the audio is really good. Sometimes, like, the music's too loud. Sometimes the Foley doesn't exist. Like, you could have just thought they just forgot to put in audio here. Like, if it was well done up until this point, it would have been jarring but funny the first time. But because the way that this film is, it could have just very well been an issue with production. But
alas, following ZillaFoot's attack and El Sapo Blanco's coverage and his death.
Thank God most of the people here die.
Yeah, at least if you're going to have pointless scenes, you die in this movie.
Hey, I didn't die in mine.
Most.
Thank God.
Anyways, the professor in Missouri as well as the aliens discover that there's just a dead dinosaur.
A dinosaur called a Barbosaurus.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. Barbosaurus, one of the two.
It's like a weird crab thing, so it's not even a dinosaur. There's a tear. Oh my God. What is that? What is that? Bro, what is that? What is that? My subconscious headache is getting worse. What is a subconscious headache? Is that even possible?
Maybe that's the crab. No.
No, it
wouldn't
doesn't
match
look
the
like
silhouette.
it, but yeah,
Who
the
knows?
aliens revive it.
It goes on a rampage.
A rampage of bad compositing.
Yeah, the suit guy and Missouri run around, sometimes composited, sometimes not.
And then we cut to the Secretary of Defense at a meeting for how to deal with the monsters.
Oh my god. This is such a boring... It's just boring. It's boring.
Yeah.
This is COVID Film 101.
There is almost a funny joke in here. Almost.
Is it? Which one is it?
The Reverend, when he says, like, it's all God's plan or something, and then the military logistics guy is just praying with his cross while everyone else is just not caring.
Now, see, that's a good example of a background joke that if you are paying attention to the whole scene, you'll see, and it doesn't look awkward.
Right. But yeah, they come up with nothing. I love padding. Yeah,
literally, it's a worthless scene. Like, the military and the government's irrelevant for the rest of the film. Also, this is very clearly in the United States, yet they try to make it seem like it's Japan later on. That's another issue here.
But yeah, we eventually cut back to one of the scientists who was captured by the aliens. I think they're called, like, Andorians or something here.
Also, real quick, we go with Missouri and the suit guy as they're talking here in this whole scene with the aliens, right before the aliens. Like, I wrote in my notes, the water is too loud. There's a word in between too and loud that I can't say.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Sometimes the dialogue in this movie is hard to hear because it's...
I couldn't hear it. Also, I watched this film with headphones.
Likewise.
My ears hurt. Like, I will never watch this film again with headphones. It's awful.
I just hope to never watch it again.
Now, as we go to the aliens, what did you say they were called?
I think they're called, like, Andorians or something.
Andorians. Like, Andor?
I think. I don't know. It sounded... That's what it sounded
Andor?
Like. Endor. It's a planet from Star Wars.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and we get during because they capture Mark Polonia's character, and he introduces himself as, I thought I heard Sajin Leader number 5, but maybe it was Endor Leader number 5. It's something like that. And then we get a whole spiel about how, like, the human race is, they destroy their planet.
They destroy themselves. The Andorians can time travel, so they've seen the future already. Something. Their planet is dying. So they're basically the cockroach aliens.
They're the cockroach aliens with the same spiel from the Final Wars Exilians with the Futurians, or I guess the Showa Exilians' ability to travel into the future. I don't get, like, why wouldn't they just... I don't get it. The whole time travel thing's pointless. It's awful. I hate it.
I hate the movie. Anyways, they possess the scientist so that they can use him to take the GXG.
Which I don't think do they establish in the sequence? I don't remember them establishing it in the sequence.
No, they did. They did.
Oh, they did? Oh.
And then we cut to the Fedora guy and Wizard. I hate my life.
The Crimson Weirdo, which is an online personality. And this is Raph. Raph, who did the opening title stuff and the end credit stuff. He did a voice during the bad dubbing underwater sequence. And then he's here playing himself, or the detective. And then the Crimson Weirdo, which is an online persona he plays. But this also feels very much like a padding, like they're just padding the runtime here.
Mm.
And, like, they break the fourth wall frequently during this, looking at the camera, talking to the audience. I hate stuff like that.
Right.
The whole thing with this scene is, like, the fedora detective stole the Crimson Weirdo's dog, and then he hands over the skull of Zing Zam Zoom?
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And
I don't know. I hate movies now.
and they're like not like he hands him the dog and it's not even his dog, and then he pulls out a shotgun and like is going to kill him, but ZillaFoot stumbles upon him.
Something they die, something.
They make like direct line references to Godzilla 85.
Something.
So as our character has the ruby skull of Zim Zam Zoom.
What?
Notice how he's looking towards the camera every few seconds, like Deadpool would be. Perhaps this is the Deadpool and Wolverine of the kaiju cinema.
God, at least Deadpool and Wolverine had. Oh, Deadpool and Wolverine didn't have anything of substance, actually. My bad. God, I hope I forget this movie.
And then we cut to Flash, Missouri, and the suit guy in like a hospital, which this whole scene's pointless. Like it only lasts so long and it's really pointless.
But hey, after this we get Danny.
We do, and he's wearing a Yongari versus Pulgasari shirt. There's a ton of Godzilla stuff, Robot Monster, the book from King Kong versus Godzilla, the English cuts here.
Oh, that's what that book was. Oh, that's nice.
He talks. I love you, Danny. I know you're going to listen to this, but your scene is too damn long.
I do agree, but hey, it was nice seeing King Ghidorah and stuff.
Yeah.
It was a nice
I've been
break
in this
from
room.
hell.
I've been in that room. It's very cool. I love that room.
Then Missouri and Flash go to meet up with the Ultra Squad.
You mean the suit guy? Flash is in the hospital.
Huh? Oh,
Flash
my bad.
Yeah. Also, while they're driving, like because they green screen the car windows.
Yeah. And it's like going backwards or something.
Yeah, half the time it's going backwards and half the time it's correct. And then they meet the Ultra Squad guy.
Yeah.
Which is somebody you recognized.
Oh, yeah. It's like guy from Jurassic Prey or something.
Yeah. And then Flash gets out of the hospital and goes and plays games at an arcade or something. He uses a payphone in the year 2019 or 2021, whichever year this movie's supposed to be in.
Yeah. I feel like at this point we should just stop mentioning these awful scenes because I want to die thinking about them. And they don't add anything.
Yeah, and then we cut back to Missouri and the Ultra Guard guy and the suit guy talking about the Ultra Guard.
We learn he's the captain of the Ultra Squad. It's kind of weird because the Ultra Squad is like a scientist organization, but then also Ultra Squad is the hero. Yeah,
that's what I was confused. Like, is he supposed to be one person, or is it like?
It's kind of weird because it's both.
Yeah, and they say that the Ultra Squad is like this mega corporation with like subsidiaries, and like the suit guy works for one of those.
Yeah.
Or something. It's stupid. About as stupid as spelling kaiju is Kiaju, which happens in the scene that like follows.
Yeah, where Flash interviews the possessed scientist.
Which at one point you can see him holding the script and he like constantly looks down at it.
Huh. And then we get stock footage from previous scenes in the movie. Just what
oh my god. It's like Gamera. Oh, it's another Dai reference. Huh, get it? Dai.
Chump. But after the interview, the scientist goes to the command center to take the GXG, which Flash follows him.
This whole scene like sucks too. Like it's really awkward.
I don't even remember Flash actually doing anything.
He doesn't. I think he disappears after this.
That sounds about right.
We're about an hour into this movie.
It doesn't matter because the possessed scientist used the GXG and just immediately crashes into a plane.
Yeah. Also, the green screen of the scientist and Flash, like in front of the GXG, is like literally an atrocity.
Yeah, for some reason the scientist turns purple or something.
Yeah, and Flash is just dark green or gray. And then we get stock footage of like New York and then Japan.
Yeah. But hey, we're in our climax. ZillaFoot shows up, the dinosaur shows up.
Everything everything
Ultra
happens.
Squad transforms and he fights ZillaFoot. It's so exciting. I love movies.
The GXG exploding is so anticlimactic. Like, all of our main characters are like watching. They talk about like 1985 gets referenced again in here somewhere.
Does it? Good thing I don't remember.
It does. It's by Ultra
I don't
Squad
want to
guy.
remember. Clearly, for my sanity, watching this was a mistake. Maybe I shouldn't have started drinking for this. Maybe I would have enjoyed this more. Maybe
I don't think so.
Maybe I wouldn't have wanted. I'm actually so defeated right now. Like, you actually have no idea how defeated I feel.
And like they end the whole like military guy stuff with like the main guy like saying, "You were a good man, Corporal Fort. Too bad you'll never see that baby." And that's
he
it.
dies or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, he was in one of the tanks, which would have been great to know. Like maybe have him in the tank, showing him or something.
I literally predicted during our watch that he was 2 days before retirement, and I was so happy when he died.
Yeah. And they say that like they send ZillaFoot to fight Ultra Squad because they were wanting Ultra Squad to show up.
Mm-hmm.
During all of this, we cut to Eric Carter, King Kong versus Godzilla reference on Mongo, like an internet.
I don't know.
show.
He dies. It's fine. I don't care.
He dies. We get a Conga TNT poster, a Howl from Beyond the Fog poster, and a Gridman toy.
I don't care at this point. Something. The aliens use a void portal to give ZillaFoot the advantage in the fight against Ultra Squad, but in a cameo from Matthew Anderson, we eventually learn that Ultra Squad just leaves.
Also, you skip the set design, like, Oscar award-winning scene with the dude who addresses the camera directly. Hey, there's some Conga stuff, like they have a Godzilla toy, a Conga TNT postcard,
just
a
what
shirt.
I want from a movie.
Ultraman Orb, the Origin Saga, shows up as a Blu-ray on a shelf in this scene.
Yeah, just what I want in a movie, to see things I recognize in the background. That's so cool.
Also, I think ZillaFoot dies before Matthew shows up. Like, the Ultra Squad guy rips his hand off and he's a robot and he just dies.
Yeah, something like that.
We get more Godzilla merch with
Which
Matthew.
is weird because there's ZillaFoot urine samples, but anyways, it's fine.
Yeah, and hair, and like ZillaFoot has to...
I doubt the person in that scene had any idea because he probably wasn't told anything.
Right, but also they established earlier on that ZillaFoot had trouble like adapting to Earth's...
Oh, that's true. Maybe he
that's
like Gigant or something.
Maybe the like non-Bigfoot things are like robotic.
I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
I don't care.
We get more aliens. They say that like they know how to beat Ultra Squad now, and they relaunch ZillaFoot 2.0.
In maybe the one good shot of the movie.
Yes, actually, I did some digging. So that was actually an old After Effects test from somebody.
I had a funny feeling.
Yeah, it was some dude named Alter Cortex Design,
because
like,
it looked too good to be from the movie.
He gave it to Ron and was like, "Here, use it." That's why it looks like Krampus.
Yeah,
and then they it's like all this is sequel baiting. And then we get more military stuff for a brief second, like sequence.
It's basically just a teaser for ZillaFoot 2, Rise of the Monsters.
Yeah.
And the end. Credits.
Yeah, like Well, they don't even end. It doesn't even end.
No, there's no ending. There's no ending to this. I get no closure. I watched trash and I don't even get closure to my story.
And then we get 2 minutes of credits with a bunch of like fake Japanese names.
Yeah. ZillaFoot, no. We don't need another. No. No thanks. What the hell is that?
It's ZillaFoot 2.
Why does he look like Krampus?
Maybe he is Krampus.
Why are we suddenly VHS found footage? And why was that the best shot in the movie? Clearly, for my sanity, watching this was a mistake. Maybe I shouldn't have started drinking for this. Maybe I would have enjoyed this more. Maybe
I don't think so.
Maybe I wouldn't have wanted. I'm actually so defeated right now. Like, you actually have no idea how defeated I feel.
So Rex, this was SRS's first kaiju produced film. Their second one is Kaiju Glam Metal Shark Attack.
Please,
do you want to cover that one?
Please put in effort next time, guys. Thanks. Please put in effort.
Where do we go from here?
To hell.
Do you want to do? So Rex, I guess my question to you is, you've clearly showcased a great disdain for this film. Where does it, like, I know we're not going to talk about every single kaiju film ever when I ask you this question, but like, where does this rank on your kaiju? Are you saying that this is a decent follow-up to like Everything Wrong with Godzilla vs. Kong, like one of the worst Godzilla movies? Now we're at like one of the worst.
Godzilla vs. Kong, at least occasionally, it's like an actual movie. This is
true.
Like, this is just a form of torture. This is not like a narrative. This is just a bunch of different people having their own fun, and it was just all combined together for some reason, just to make like a quick buck or something.
I didn't make a dime off of this.
Whatever.
So, I guess, do you want to do final thoughts, and then we'll do cast and crew, and then
final thoughts.
We'll do our final?
I now hate movies. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I really need to say anything more?
No, I think you're good. I'll do my final thoughts here real quick. On it, like, ZillaFoot is an absolute show. It's 40 minutes too long. It goes nowhere. This does nothing. If anything, this sets the genre back. The main plot of this is so pointless that it just ends up being way too boring and adds nothing but like pain and dread to the audience watching.
Certainly for me.
This film is a hodgepodge of disaster. And, you know, I'm kind of happy we did it this way. Like, we didn't do like an actual, I don't even know what you could do for an actual episode about this. Like, everything is wrong with ZillaFoot.
That's like the title of an early version of this episode.
It is the title of this episode.
Oh, okay, we're keeping the title cool.
But we've sat here for an hour and 40 minutes just complaining about the film. I think that tells you, like, there's literally about 5 good things in this movie, and they're all like small details.
Man, I don't even remember what those good things are.
The opening, the title credits.
Oh yeah.
The lighting for Inside GXG, I really like that lighting. The lighting in the military base, the turning on of the screen that the military people have, and the joke of the wife.
Yeah, I guess.
And I'm in it. Maybe that's a good thing. Actually, no, it's not. That's actually like the reason I'll never get hired anywhere.
Nice.
But with that, Rex, are you ready for me to do our casting crew?
Yes, let it be over.
Starting with our cast, Dave Fief played Flash. He was in Bigfoot vs. Zombies, Shark Encounters of the Third Kind, and Doll Shark. Real quick, you're going to notice that all of these people did a lot of the same stuff, so be ready. Cassandra Hayes played Missouri, was in Amityville Death House, Revolt of the Empire of the Apes, Amityville Island, Invasion of the Empire of the Apes, Dune World, and Amityville in Space. Wayne W. Johnson played Dr. Mosco, who was also in House Shark. James Carlos played Kento, was in Empire of the Apes, Jurassic Prey, Bigfoot vs. Zombies, Sharkenstein, Amityville Exorcism, Land Shark, Revolt of the Empire of the Apes, BattleBots, Frozen Sasquatch, Amityville Island, Invasion of the Empire of the Apes, Jurassic Shark 2, Aquapocalypse, and Jurassic Shark 3, Sea Revenge, and Saurians 2. Houston Baker played Yoshiro, was in Amityville Death House, Jurassic Prey, Queen Crab, which perhaps that's the movie that's the creature in the opening credits?
Maybe.
Dune World, Cocaine Shark, and Shark 3, Sea Revenge. Mark Polonia played Dr. Saki, who was an actor in Saurians, Empire of the Apes, Amityville Death House. By the way, he was also director of Saurians, Empire of the Apes, and Amityville Death House. Jurassic Prey, which he was the writer and director on. Queen Crab, Bigfoot vs. Zombies, which he was writer and director of that. Sharkenstein, also writer and director. Giantess Attack, Frozen Sasquatch, Amityville Island, writer and director for that as well. Virus Shark, writer and director. Jurassic Shark 2, Aquapocalypse, director of that. Noah's Shark, writer and director of that. Sharkula, writer and director of that. Amityville in Space, writer and director. Doll Shark, director. Cocaine Shark, writer and director. Jurassic Shark 3, Sea Venge, writer and director. Saurians 2, director, and the upcoming Mummy Shark, writer and director. He was also the editor on Predalien, Alien Predators, Snow Shark, Ancient Snow Beast, Land Shark, which he also directed, Revolt of the Empire of the Apes, BattleBots, Shark Encounters of the Third Kind, Dune World, Invasion of the Empire of the Apes, Sister Krampus, and House Squatch. He was also director of Amityville Exorcism, Once Upon a Time in Amityville, and Jurassic Exorcist. Jeff Kirkendale played Yamoto. He was in Empire of the Apes, Amityville Death House, Jurassic Prey, Bigfoot vs. Zombies, Sharkenstein, Amityville Exorcism, Land Shark, Revolt of the Empire of the Apes, BattleBots, Frozen Sasquatch, Amityville Island, Shark Encounters of the Third Kind, Invasion of the Empire of the Apes, Dune World, Jurassic Shark 2, Aquapocalypse, Noah's Shark, Sister Krampus, House Squatch, Sharkula, Amityville in Space, Cocaine Shark, Jurassic Shark 3, Sea Venge, Revenge of the Empire of the Apes, Saurians 2, Amityville Aliens, Mummy Shark, Once Upon a Time in Amityville, and Jurassic Exorcism. Austin Dragovich, who played Archer, was in Amityville Death House, Jurassic Prey, Bigfoot vs. Zombies, Sharkenstein, Amityville Exorcism, and Land Shark. Juan Diaz Jr. played El Sapo Blanco, was a VFX artist in Ender's Game, and director of and actor in Subhuman in Amityville Experiment. We have Daniel DeManna, who played Danzilla of the Godzilla Novelization Project and frequent podcast guest on various podcasts, and the singer of the Kaiju Conversation theme. Connor Flynn, who played Cryptid Research Officer, and John Milgore, who played Skywatcher number 1. Also Dana in the credits on IMDb, which is a reference to a short film he did. He was in Amityville Death House, Raiders of the Lost Shark, writer and director of Ouija Shark 2, and Ouija Shark 3. He was an actor in Konga TNT along with the suit actor for Konga. He is working on he's an actor in a film called Punk Shark, and surprisingly enough, he was in a tokusatsu production. He is in the film Love Shark. I haven't seen it, but that is a Japanese shark movie.
Good on him.
As for your crew, you have Ron Bonk, producer. He was a producer on Planet of the Erotic Ape, Virus Shark, Sister Krampus, House Squatch, Amityville Karen, Amityville Thanksgiving, Doll Shark, Amityville Death Toilet, Amityville Bloodbath, Amityville Shark House, Amityville Ripper, Amityville Backpack, Amityville Bigfoot, Chum, Red Light District Shark Attack, Amityville Turkey Day, Nano Shark, Kaiju Glam Metal Shark Attack, and Amityville Backrooms. He was writer-director of House Shark, writer of Sharks of the Corn and Sister Krampus. Elliot Monroe is a producer. He worked on Kaiju Glam Metal Shark Attack. He did music for Jurassic Prey, Bigfoot vs. Zombies, Sharkenstein, Amityville Exorcism, Land Shark, Revolt of the Empire of the Apes, Shark Encounters of the Third Kind, Virus Shark, Jurassic Shark 2, Aquapocalypse, and Amityville in the Hood. Your producer, cinematographer, editor, writer, camera operator, and special effects director. Did I mention director? I think I did. Anthony Polonia directed Sister Krampus, House Squatch, Doll Shark, and Saurian 2. He did VFX and special effects for Amityville in Space, Empire of the Apes, Sharkenstein, Land Shark, Sharkula, and Cocaine Shark. He was producer and camera operator on Jurassic Prey, and an actor in Bigfoot vs. Zombies, Empire of the Apes, and Praelian Alien Predator. And that is your casting crew. Rex, happy 100 episodes. Thank you for enduring this twice with me.
Here's to more episodes of Not This.
And a quick shout out to Gratton Conwell from the podcast Giant Monster BS before we do our typical spiel with him for suggesting everything wrong with ZillaFoot. Because I ended up getting a lot of fun out of this. I got to watch Rex literally die inside.
Thanks.
It was a lot of fun.
Not for me.
With this, I think we should wrap things up here.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I agree. I don't want to sit on this movie for very much longer, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, well, before we finish up, I should say hello. I'm Elijah, and I have a Kaiju and Tokusatsu problem. Joking aside, I am Elijah Thomas. I am a writer. I've written for GodzillaMovies.com and in Kaiju Ramen Magazine. Currently, I write for Kaiju United. And my writing has also been featured in the book Giant Bug Cinema, a Monster Kid's Guide from Bear Manor Media, where I wrote about Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Outside of writing and podcasting, I also served as a consultant on the upcoming Titanic Creations officially licensed Yongari articulated figure. Go to titaniccreations.com/Yongari to order yours today. Supplies are limited. I also had the privilege to produce bonus features for SRS Cinema. I've worked on Yuzo, The Biggest Battle in Tokyo, Liverleaf, and the most recent one being War of the Ninja Monsters, Jiron vs. Gora, with more in the pipeline. You can order all of those Blu-rays on srscinema.com. I'm also a filmmaker and YouTuber. You can check out my stuff on my YouTube channel, ET13 Productions, where you can see some of my short films and old YouTube videos, along with an ever-growing playlist that features all of my appearances on YouTube. I do plan on getting new videos out soon, so definitely check that out. You can also check out my action figure photography on my Instagram at ET13_productions and my X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, thanks Danny, at the same handle. Rex, before you collapse and die, where can people find you at?
Dear listeners, you can find me on YouTube at Rexino, on Twitter at Rex_Xenomorph, and on Instagram Rex_Xeno. If you want to check out my writing, go take a look at the Tokusatsu Network, because I swear to God, you're never going to see me anywhere else other than those platforms after today.
I don't think we're going to see you ever again, period.
Yeah.
You sound like you are done with me.
I am. I want to throw you off a bridge.
And as for the podcast, don't forget to rate us on iTunes. That boosts our ratings and helps us get recommended to more people just like you. If you don't have an Apple device, which I don't blame you, I don't, that's a lie. 100 episodes in, I'm lying. I'm using a MacBook right now to do this podcast. You can rate us on Spotify. To stay up to date with all things Kaiju Conversation related, head over to www.kaijuconversation.com to find all of our episodes, social media, news, and updates. Follow us on Twitter at KAIJU_CONVERS. If you don't have Twitter, you can follow us on Instagram or like us on Facebook. If you're like me before podcasting and you don't have any social media, lucky you. You can email us at kaijuconversation@gmail.com, all lowercase, all one word, you know the drill. And as always, we'll read your reviews on air for everyone to hear. We also have a Teespring store. Eventually, we'll have original artwork on there, but until then, you can sport our awesome logo on a t-shirt or maybe even a coffee mug. If you'd like to chat with us, check out our Discord server full of others just like you. Most recently, in our General One chat, there was a discussion going on about somebody watching Godzilla 1954 for the first time.
Good on them.
It's a great community full of great people.
I hope they never see ZillaFoot.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube.
From this genre as you can, just so you never watch ZillaFoot.
Don't forget to
never watch a kaiju film again. Because you are, if you're watching kaiju films, you're in too close of a radius to watching ZillaFoot. Guilty by association.
Oh my god. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the bell so you can be notified anytime we upload a video. We sometimes post exclusives to the channel, like bloopers for episodes or minisodes talking about news or other subjects.
Don't worry, we won't be posting ever again after this.
We also have an interview with Mechagodzilla designer Jared Kuchevsky on the channel. I definitely butchered his name, I'm so sorry. And a huge thanks to Rex. And a huge thanks to Rex for editing all of this stuff and putting up with my BS. And watching
yeah, I need a lot of thanks for going through this.
And all the other content.
For the rest of my life, I need thanks for being put through this.
His links can be found in the description below.
Damn, and I thought I was going to cry today.
Along with Rex, we'd like to hear.
Damn, I'm not the one who is here. What the hell?
Along with Rex, we'd like to give a huge thanks and shout out to Danny DeMana of the Godzilla Novelization Project for his amazing vocals on our theme song. You can support him by following him on Twitter at Danzilla93_GNP or visit his website, GodzillaNovelizationProject.com. And a huge thanks to Gratton Conwell from the podcast Giant Monster BS for composing the music for our theme song. You can support him by following the podcast on Twitter at Giant Monster BS or on any podcast platform under the name Giant Monster BS. And with that, we're going to wrap things up here.
Is it over yet? Thank God, finally. Let's go.
So thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for enduring listening to us react and talk about ZillaFoot in this momentous 100th episode occasion. It's been so much fun. I will not live to see tomorrow. There will be a drone strike on my house from Rex.
Bye.
So thank you guys so much for listening, and as always, please remember to not watch ZillaFoot, and that life's too short to not talk big.
Not short enough, apparently.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
We are set. We are.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Kaiju Conversation. I'm your host, Elijah, and today I have a very special, exciting interview for everybody. Now, as many of you know, episode 100 just came out. Everything is wrong with ZillaFoot 2021. Now, for that episode, I had the great pleasure to interview somebody who worked on the film that wasn't me. And here you are about to listen to that amazing interview. To introduce him, I'm going to let him have the floor to introduce us to who he is and his role in the 2021 hit blockbuster ZillaFoot.
Hey everyone, my name is Matt, and I played Jimmy in ZillaFoot.
So, Matt, how are you doing?
Oh, not too bad.
So before we dive into your work on ZillaFoot, let's get a little bit of background on who you are and your love of kaiju and giant monsters.
Well, I've been I've been a kaiju fan probably since I was like 8 years old. I remember going over to my grandparents' house and they had a VHS of Godzilla versus Megalon. And at the time, I was a really big fan of dinosaurs, as like most kids are. But after seeing that, it was, that's what started my love for it.
So was Megalon your first Godzilla movie then?
Yep. Yeah, Megalon was my first, and then right after that, I watched the original. So you can imagine being that young, like the tones of both of those movies.
Now, out of curiosity, so you started with Godzilla and dinosaurs. When did you branch out into other kaiju films and giant monster movies?
Um, I started with Godzilla probably, I'd say when I was like 15, I think was when like the Gamera movies started releasing over in the US. Like Gamera Guarding the Universe was released through ADV Films. I remember watching that. I bought that on VHS.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Now, I know you and I have talked multiple times prior, and you are a fan of films outside of kaiju and giant monsters. Particularly, you and I and Rex all share kind of a love of J horror. So, what outside of kaiju and giant monsters, what kind of films do you like watching? What kind of stuff do you enjoy?
Mostly horror. That's my big one. That kind of introduced me to everything through that. But mostly horror. I watch a lot of foreign films, mostly like Asian horror films, Hong Kong and Japanese.
Okay. Now, you had a part in a movie. Now, is this your first film appearance?
Yes, this is my first actual film appearance. I've done little skits and stuff with my friends, but
Were those like just like YouTube skits you did, or?
yeah, just a couple YouTube skits that we did actually around the same time that I filmed that segment.
Awesome. So, how did you get involved in ZillaFoot? I'm sure you have a similar story to what I have, but
I was just browsing Facebook one day, and I'm in a couple Godzilla groups on there, and I can't remember which one, but there was a little advertisement up there asking about if you could send in footage for the movie. So I just contacted them and said that I was interested, and they gave me the part.
now, did they give you creative freedom to write the scene, or was it something that they pitched to you?
Yeah, I wrote the scene. They just gave me like the start of it. They just asked me like, we want you to be an Squad fan, and then just go from there.
Gotcha. So, what was the creative process in developing the scene?
Well, they said that I was supposed to be a super fan, so I had an idea of being like this nerdy kid in his bedroom that gets super excited about the Ultra Squad appearing.
Now, how long did it take you to film this scene?
I filmed it in one day. I think it took about probably like 4 or 5 hours.
Now, did you film it on your phone?
Yep. Yeah, I filmed it on my phone.
So, what was the creative process of having Godzilla and Ghidorah kiss?
Um, I don't know. It was just an idea that popped into my head, and I went with it.
Out of curiosity, was that improv?
Yes, that part was. The whole me sitting on the bed playing with the toys, that I had written down, and then I just kind of came up with that idea.
Now, was that the only part that was improv, or was the whole thing kind of just starting there and kind of wherever it went?
Most of the dialogue was different. Like when I wrote out like a small script for it, and I wrote like kind of basic dialogue to go off of, and then just kind of improv'd it and saw what worked and what didn't.
Now, in the scene, in the skit, there's you who's playing Jimmy, but there's also another character that we don't see on screen, and that's the voice of Jimmy's mother. So did you play Jimmy's mother as well?
Nope, that is my friend Ro. He was the one holding the camera.
So was he your only production crew on your scene?
Yep, and he was the one that was also working with me on the skits that I was doing at the time too.
Sweet. Now, where did you film all of your skits in this film?
That one was filmed in one of the back rooms in my house. I have like a small room in the back of my house that I filmed that in.
Now, I'm sure this is the question everybody wants to know. The Ultra Squad has the Ultraman character in it, and you have a toy of it in this film. Now, where did that come from?
So that is a modified Ultraman Jack figure. Oh, I just took that, repainted it, and then sculpted a head for it.
Now, do you
I still have it too? Yeah, yeah. It's displayed up with all my other figures.
And that's a film prop now, so that's even it's like more valuable somehow.
Yeah, sell it on eBay for a ton of money someday.
Now, was there anything you drew inspiration from when developing your scene?
Mostly I kind of wanted to play on the whole, like, annoying kid in a kaiju film. Looking back on it, I kind of wish I played into that a little bit more. Maybe threw in some references to, like, Ichiro from All Monsters Attack or something, but hey, maybe if there's a sequel, I can come back.
Would you come back in a sequel?
Yeah, I'd film another one for it.
Now, you brought up that you got into Godzilla and kaiju cinema at a very young age. So what is it like now being in a kaiju movie?
I mean, it's definitely something that I've wanted to do. I wish it was in something a little better, but I mean, hey, at least I did it, so...
Was there any other scene that you were supposed to do, or like was it extended or was it altered in any way from when you shot it to the final product?
Mostly everything is there. I don't think I have any extra footage, just mostly stuff of us, messing around, or, a line that didn't get delivered well, or something that I didn't think looked very good.
Now, this film, ZillaFoot, has been labeled as, quote, the worst kaiju movie ever, end quote. How does it feel to be a part of the legacy of ZillaFoot?
I guess I kind of feel proud. I don't know. It's an interesting thing to bring up in conversation. I was in a movie that was sold in Walmart and is on Amazon Prime.
Now, you, from our discussion prior, you had not seen the film until today, as of this recording. So what was it like finally watching the narrative of ZillaFoot?
It was about what I was expecting of it. I zoned out a lot watching the movie just because everything's so everywhere and incomprehensible.
Now, you've answered all of my questions, but before we start to wrap things up here, is there anything you want to let fans of kaiju films that want to be in a film, no matter the quality, or maybe even shoot their own? Do you have any thoughts for anybody who's interested in doing that?
I mean, if it's something you're interested in, just go out and pursue it. Go out and do it and take a chance. That's what I did.
Now, before we do wrap things up here, is there anything you want to promote? Anything cool? A movie recommendation perhaps or something? Go buy ZillaFoot on srcinema.com.
Yeah, exactly. Go support the movie so there can be a sequel.
Well, with that, thank you so much, Matt, for doing this exclusive interview, being able to talk about ZillaFoot and what it means to you and the thoughts of that and the development. So thank you so much, and thank you for helping us make episode 100 even more exciting.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We are set, we are in debt, there's nothing to sweat. Life's too short now, baby. They're not too big now, baby. Conversation. His name's Elijah, baby. And also Rex now, baby. We love those kaiju, baby. And you will too now.